TOMz.
Molweni ke bathandi be-TOMz nifikile ke kwanopotsoni yazi kaloku siwisa iRiver Sidlali and namhlanje it's no different. This is TOMz right here on SABC One Mzansi for sure, brought to you by abaqolonqinkqiwo bethu being the SABC Education. Nake abangandaziyo ngibonisa.
Mina ke usiya the cool kid and namhlanje ke ohlelweni lethu uzobeli out of this world. We are looking at the natural laws of the universe and how they affect us khona la emhlabeni.
Injalo kanye now ke the Earth is the third planet from the sun in a system that includes the moon, ilanga and 8 other planets and their moons and smaller objects like asteroids and comets.
Now ilanga bese libuka likhulu ngempela, but it's actually just an average star, the central and largest body in our solar system.
Injalo kanye now ke objects ezininzi in the solar system move in regular and predictable motion. Kwaye ke namhlanje sabe sikhombe uba the nose and the notion ingantoni, but a bit later though. Now emotion and how the Earth relates to other moving objects like the moon in our solar systems govern night and day as well as the phases of the year and eclipses in a predictable way though. Now it means namhlanje kodwa ke masikesiyokhoba sikesiyobona uba namhlanje sikhipha amawala.
Let's get it.
Nakulandelayo ku-teenagers on a mission namhlanje. We're getting the show in motion ke namhlanje with konke ufuneka ukwazile about gravity, motion and the birth of ihlabathi elilethu and relativity. We'll be finding out about a famous theory about the birth of the universe. We'll check out how the Earth's magnetic field affects us. Sabe sisiva ke about a traditional Zulu story of the birth of ihlabathi lethu. Clockwise sabe sifunda all about the laws of gravity and motion. Sinayeka kaloku no cyberspace apho we hit the web for some awesome apps. And of course, we'll get some great career advice in our career segment. So iqale njani yonke lento? Like siqale njani from nothing and becoming part of ilizwe siphila kuyo namhlanje?
Well, ke maningi ama-theories ahlukahlukene about how the universe came into existence. Siyazivumele thina nje siyajoza siyidradweni siyoza ukuthi nina bafethu ngicabangani.
Yasamukren.
Awe.
Omnandi?
Hayi ngimnandi njalo.
Okay, athama ngifuna ukuyana nebocabanga umhlaba oconsista ngama elements ayingakhi?
Awu4.
Yini nani?
Wind.
Okay.
Earth.
Okay.
Water and fire.
Okay.
Fresh air sibreathayo, oxygen.
Okay.
Bese IS4 water.
Oh yes. Okay, bacabanga ukuthi umhlaba uqale kanjani?
Amhlaba vele siwuthola ukhona musu umhlaba.
Labanye bathi ama-scientists bathi bekune big bang. Then ama-Christians bathi umhlaba wa-creator uNkulunkulu.
Abaphethu mina ngwazi ngeBhayibheli futhi umhlaba uyajika. Ngitshela umhlaba mfethu sifile. Mara mina phethu ngwazi ngoba mina ngiphile yami last ngewazi.
Okay.
Great sharp umhlaba bowukhona nje from the beginning yabo. Kusho ukuthi from the start vele abantu bebephila kanjalo.
Bocabanga abantu why isikhona ukuhamba la phansi singakhona ukujumpa sihambe emoyeni?
Angeke ukhona ukujumpa ngoba kuna force of gravity.
Okay, so sihambisa gravity kahle.
Gravitational force. Mara great sharp mina ngama beliefs ami ukuthi into ezihamba emoyeni eziflyayo. Thina abantu asinama wings khona izinto vele ezisetheni ukuthi ziyafaya phezulu. Thina sifaya yiphali.
Now, the mystery of how the universe came to be has been something that scientists have been trying to figure out for centuries. Now, yonke into iqale endaweni. So, how did ilizwe elihlala kuyo?
Well, ama-astronomers amaningi akholelwa ekutheni the universe began about 14 billion years ago. That is when time, space and matter all began. And according to the world's most popular idea on the birth of the Earth, it all happened with a bang.
Injalo kanye one big explosion and boom, i-reality yenzeka. Asike sibone bezani ba yonke lento ingantoni.
Check it out.
Zininzi ke theories ezahlukahlukeneyo about the birth of the universe. Most scientists currently think that the universe started with a whole lot of mass with one big ball billion of years ago, and that one day the ball exploded. That is the moment from which we can measure the beginning of ixesha. They refer to that moment as the Big Bang, and this idea is called the Big Bang theory. And then got an explosion there, all of the dust and particles from it began to spread out, and over time, the particles started coming together from stars, systems, and galaxies. That the theory still hasn't answered. How did that big ball of stuff that exploded get there in the first place? And ngeminyaka emininzi kakhulu later, silapha thina with our feet on this spinning ball we call Earth.
And there are also forces on Earth that affect us njalo nje, even though thina singazi ukuthi akhona, njenge magnetism. We got an inside story from uchwepheshe wethu. Bona la.
Your first boy is still on a mission. Bafethu sekubanga topic yethu namhlanje gravity, motion and relativity. Touchdown Wits University izovakashela abaqwepheshe who are going to tell us more about how gravity works and the Earth's magnetic field. It's you and me in this mission, baby boy. Let's get it.
My name is Susan Webb, and I'm a lecturer here at Wits University, and I lecture on magnetics and gravity. So we use magnetic and gravity in the exploration for minerals and for water and for general understanding of the Earth.
Okay, cool. So can you please explain to us the difference between gravity or magnetic field and how does it work?
Okay, so there are two different fields, and gravity has to do, for example, with the density of rocks.
Okay.
So if a rock is more dense, it will have a stronger gravity field around it.
Okay.
Whereas magnetics has to do with the magnetic field, like when you use a compass and you're trying to find north.
Yes.
So that's using the magnetic field.
Okay.
And some rocks are magnetic and some rocks are not magnetic.
Okay.
So when a rock is magnetic, it can attract a magnet.
Okay.
So if we take this example, we have here a chunk of magnetite, and if we take this magnet and bring it close, it gets attracted to it.
Oh,
and
wow.
in fact, if you hold this up, you'll see it can support the whole magnet.
Oh, wow.
We can try it with a different rock.
Okay.
If we try with the chromatite, this is not magnetic. When I bring the magnet close to it, it doesn't attract it.
Okay.
So there's no magnetic field associated with this rock.
Okay.
So these are two rocks that sort of look similar when you first glance at them, but they're very, very different physical properties. Now, like that rock is heavy, we can look at density. Okay, now density is associated with the gravity field.
Okay.
So just feel this rock. And it's not so heavy.
This one is not that heavy.
Compared to that one.
Yeah.
So if we were doing a gravity survey on the surface, and these rocks were underneath, and we didn't know they were there, and we came along with a gravity meter, we would have a stronger gravity here than if you put that rock under there. If we came along and measured, gravity would be less here.
Okay.
Okay, because this rock is more dense and heavier than that rock.
Okay. Can you tell us more about the Earth's magnetic field and how it works when navigating and trying to find the north, the south, the east, and the west, and how that works?
The Earth has a crust on the outside, and then inside of that is a mantle, which is essentially a solid rock, and then inside of that is a liquid core.
Okay.
And inside the very center of that is another solid core. And the core is made up of iron.
Okay.
But it's a liquid iron. And so because the Earth is rotating, that liquid core gets churned up.
Okay.
And as it moves, it changes mechanical energy to electromagnetic energy.
Okay.
And we actually develop a magnetic field inside the whole Earth. So because the Earth is rotating and it has this liquid iron core, we get a magnetic field.
Okay, so tell us, what equipment do you use to measure all of this, and how do you measure it?
Okay, so one of the pieces of equipment we use is called a magnetometer. Okay, and this actually measures how big the magnetic field is. It's like an instrument that would say, okay, this rock is very magnetic and this rock isn't so magnetic.
Okay.
So this would have a big magnetic field and this would have a small magnetic field.
Okay.
And so we can map out the magnetic field of the Earth when we're looking for different rock types. Because think about in the Kalahari, it's all sand.
Yeah.
What are the rocks underneath? We can't tell unless we use geophysics. Okay, so one method is to look for the magnetic rocks and the non-magnetic rocks by using the magnetometer.
Well, ke sava about north, east, west, and south. Ngoku siyazi basizukaphi sonke.
Compasses identify north, south, east, and west because the magnet responds to Earth's magnetic field. Earth is like a giant magnet. Ngoba ke kwamanje ke sathi ke kancane kodwa ke nakho kulandelayo after the break.
Asibuyayo ke sabe sisiva about more traditional stories uba ihlabathi elenziwa njani from umntu walapha eMzantsi kanye kanye.
TOMz.
Indeed, this is TOMz, Teenagers on a Mission, only up again SABC 1, Mzansi for sure.
Sesifundeka kabanzi about the laws that make our universe and our world work namhlanje. We've heard about scientific theory and how it all began, and we've also heard what nina lapha emakhaya ngicabangani.
Injalo kanye ke ungalibala apha ekhaya na ukuqhakamishelana nathi kaloku kumajelo yethu yomnatha sikhona sinamakhasi ku-Facebook sinamakhasi ku-Twitter kwaye ke without you guys this show wouldn't be. So when I stay tuned for our social segment later, we'll be checking out about wena uye wathini online.
Iscience yona ichaza okuningi, but there are also many traditional stories about how the world came into existence.
Injalo kanye now uMzansi has many different cultures. Kwaye ke every culture has its own amazing stories that have been passed down from isizukulwana ngesizukulwana. Now ke masike sihambe and find out about one of those amazing stories right now. Ungayindawo kaloku.
Touchdown Soweto sakubeka ngemishini yethu namhlanje sikhuluma ngemotion, relativity and of course gravity. So vakashela traditional healers usitshela kabanzi about African culture and how it works. You, me, let's get it. Sabona bhuti wami.
Njani?
Ngiyaphila njani?
Ngiyaphila.
So ngitshele ke sikuphi and what do you do?
Well, nisekhaya. Firstly, I'm an artist and I am a traditional healer, or they want to call it sangoma or inyanga.
What is a sangoma?
A sangoma is an African doctor who heals physically and metaphysically, who's also in touch with the ancestral realm, using bones which are symbols and which tell us what is it that is happening, how did we get to this point. We learn how to read the bones and what they're saying to us, but more we have to communicate with our ancestors even more, because they tell us what's happening even with the bones, you know. So it's a back and forth communication of what I'm seeing from your life, because your life is within those symbols that are given to me from the bones. Yeah, so your whole life, what's happening if you flustered by dark energies and such things, if you sick internally, if you sick intentionally with someone's doing, because as we know as Africans, you become sick because of other people. So yeah. Yes. With the bones, I'm getting messages from my own ancestors and your ancestors, because at times someone is sick and they don't know what's happening in their life. They can't find a job. Everything is just clashing. And then at times the bones would show me that the problem is within your ancestors, because you might have not followed up on them, or you don't acknowledge them or acknowledge their existence or their presence in your life. So at times you find that someone's bad luck is from his own people, you know.
So we ask some scientists have a belief that they come from apes, and there's sort of other beliefs as well, the Big Bang and whatnot. So Tina Bantu, like Africans, where do we come from?
As Africans, we know that history is told orally. From stories from your grandparents, from what I've been told growing up. We as Africans were created by God, or whatever higher power you believe in. And yes, Africans do and did acknowledge that there was a God, even before the missionaries came into our land, even before the Bible. So people knew, Africans knew there was a God, and they called him Umvelingqangi. Umvelingqangi because wavela kuqala. He was here before everyone, you know. And that's where we know that we came from. We came from him. And how we landed in Africa, that's something that was untold. But of course you find history in caves where Khoisans were drawing, you know. So that history is told in minor circumstances, within families, within generation lines.
Okay. So according to African belief, umuntu bakafa isoliyakhe yaphi?
From what I know and from what I've heard, their souls are still here. They're still on earth.
Okay.
It's just that they're on the other side, which means they are aware of what happens in the next life. And we have the belief that at that point they are closer to God, because and umuntu magafa uba yidlozi, they become an ancestor to whoever, you know. So that's why at times in funerals you find people saying hamba kahle uzoba idlozi elihle, which means hamba kahle from the physical earth uyoba idlozi elihle on the other side, where you are not physical anymore but you spirit, because as young Africans we must acknowledge that this life is more than the physical. There's more to our existence than what we living, you know. And umuntu makashona
uba isithunzi esihle emndenini wakhe. So we have that belief ukuthi they're still here, but they're on the other side. So their eyes and their souls reach to places we in the physical will never reach. Yeah. Youth must start realizing ukuthi as much as we're young and as much as we live in a fast pace, you know, it's crucial that we come back and reflect on our lives and take a moment, just take a moment in a life where you sit down with yourself and you talk to yourself and you either pray to God or ukhuluma namadlozi again, and you find yourself and you ground yourself, because it's easy ukututhateke in the life that we live in the fast spaces that we occupy, you know.
Wow, what an amazing story. As Indoni, our country is so rich in history as well as stories from all over the Rainbow Nation. Why Mzansi is the country in the world that has the most traditional languages?
11 official languages, so that's 11 cultures, all with different stories. This is really an amazing country. A quick commercial break.
Sibuyela back in time clockwise kuze sizama ukufumana out all about a genius called Isaac Newton. We check out some amazing apps in cyberspace. Why we get some awesome career advice from Inga Pepe zethu. TOMz. TOMz right here with SABC 1 Mzansi for sure, brought to you by SABC Education.
About the laws of the universe namhlanje, but without some of the amazing minds of the past, we wouldn't even know half of what we know now.
Right? It was the great thinkers of the past like Einstein, Thomas Edison, as well as Pythagoras and more that brought us to the modern age equipped with the knowledge that we needed. Now these great minds have kept us in motion, just like the planets in our solar system. The Earth was actually the center of ihlabathi.
The Earth is an object in motion that affects all the other objects in motion around it. It has a gravitational pull that keeps us on the ground, and it's constantly in motion. It's all part of the laws of gravity and the laws of motion.
Isaac Newton is one of the most important scientists in history. Define how we see ilizwe lethu namhlanje. In 1687, Newton published his most famous ideas. The law of gravity helped to explain the movements of the planets and the sun. His other famous discovery is the 3 laws of motions. As laws law of inertia. An object that isn't moving will stay still unless an external force acts on it. And an object that is moving will continue moving at the same speed as in the same direction unless acted upon by an external force. So basically, most objects resist change unless something forces them to change. An object with a larger mass needs more force to accelerate it. So, the bigger something is, the harder it is to move. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So whenever an object pushes another object, it gets pushed back in the opposite direction equally hard. Isaac Newton gets objects with each other, affect each other in some way, both on a large scale or on a small scale. Like if we get out of tacos.
That is the 3rd law of motion, action, reaction. And we are going to react to all the cool stuff as with cyberspace.
Did you know, if there are more stars than all the greatness emhlabeni wethu? If you like interesting facts like that, you need to check out the Amazing Universe Facts app for Android for all you need to know about umhlaba wakho. Or how about an app that uses gravity to make your phone work? Well, gravity screen on and off automatically turns your screen off when ufaka phone yakho esikhwameni or put it on the table, and it turns the screen on when you take it out or lift it up. Challenge yourself with the amazing physics puzzles in Isaac Newton's Gravity. It's a game where cleverness and creativity are key, and there are 100 of brain-teasing levels with Sir Isaac Newton himself to provide you with hint. Get it now. Habash.
Okay, I'm all about how the universe works, but where in the universe will you work? Well, when you have a place up in Sabini too.
There are so many incredible jobs out there. It's sometimes difficult to know what to do or where to fit in. Some advice from our career counselor to decide.
Like and the planets, you could look at a career in astronomy. Astronomers are scientists about to the origins, evolution, physical and chemical nature of objects beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Astronomy serious interest in science and maths, have very good mathematical ability, have a national senior certificate with university exemption. Each university has its own minimum entry requirements, but compulsory subjects are maths and science. For inkcukacha zithe vetshe ke, visit the Astronomical Society of SA's website on www.sao.ac.za.
Qhubekeka ke wena apho ekhaya ufunda, qhubekeka usebenza nzima. Kwaye kaloku yes of course, qhubekeka ubukela i-TOMz. Who knows, you'll find a job of your dreams in no time.
Thina ke sikhulume nabavakashi bethu namhlanje ohlelweni lethu sithole kabanzi ukuthi kahle kahle bona benzani futhi bangena kanjani kule nto abayenzayo. Ke sibone bona bathini.
Being a Sangoma, it's a calling, and it's a gift that's been given to you by God and the ancestors, driven more by ancestors. And you get initiated. It works differently from whichever school you go to, from throwing bones and from using certain medicines and how to use them.
If you'd like to become a geoscientist, you should really study math and physics in high school or take the science courses, because you'll need to take science at university level. And at university level, you're going to want to take math and physics and geology or geosciences. And then if you specialize in physics and geology, you can become a geophysicist. Or if you want to do mathematics and geology, you can become a mathematical geologist. And there's many, many career paths open for young people. For example, you can look for water. We use geophysics to look for water, and we use geology to look for water. We have to understand where the water is found. And in fact, we use it for building sites even. For example, if you wanted to understand how much rock or how much soil you had to remove from a building site, it's cheaper to remove soil than it is to remove rock. So you want to know how much it's going to cost, and you'll have to use geophysics because you can't see below the surface any other way.
Bethu silithanda lonke xesha elo liba nina nithethe nathi sithethe nani sithethisane ibe ngqoko siya siphethe bani wapi esithini.
Namhlanje ke siphethe uTycoon Thabo @TOMz_SABC_1 athi yena, I didn't know how the engine runs or stimulates, but now I know. Thank you so much for tutoring me. Well, uTycoon lona urefera kwi-episode yethu about cars. Thank you so much for your tweet. Thank you so much, guys. Keep those tweets and comments coming on our Facebook and Twitter pages.
Injalo kanye ke siyafumaneka ku Facebook, siyafumaneka ku Twitter. Ku Facebook sinamakhasi TOMz, amakhazi ethu aku Twitter ngu @TOMz_SABC_1.
Till then, keep tweeting.
We really hope that you guys enjoyed watching the show as much as we enjoyed.
We'll be back soon. So we'll see you again very, very soon. From all of us at TOMz, it is goodbye, and of course, stay in peace and not in pieces.
Next time on TOMz,
we take a journey into the world of mining.
we visit an active mine.
Find out about all the different types of mining.
Ungaphosi kona ke rhoqo kaloku nguTOMz ngemivulo nangolwezibini ngentsimbi yesine apho ku SABC 1 Mzansi for sure.